Hey, it's time for another edition of So You Got a Malinois, the segment in which I answer a lot of questions about working dogs. That can be anything. So You Got a Malinois is a catchy title, but this is about anything: Dutchies, Belgians, German Shepherds, any high drive working dog. So the first one goes out to El Gypsy King Tim. Hi, our teacher. I like it. It sounds good. I have a question. I have a puppy Malinois. She has 10 weeks. She do the sit and down and between and stay. I don't know what that means. She's a good girl, but sometimes she play a little hard with me, biting my hands, and she tried to bite my face while I'm sitting with her. How I stop. By the way, all that results is because of your lessons. Well, that doesn't sound very good at all. I mean, she's biting because of my. I don't want to hear that. Simple. First of all, you got a 10-week-old Malinois puppy. If you put your nose near the Malinois' mouth, you're going to get the dog to bite your nose. If you focus on structure, in a Malinois, a high drive working dog, you need to focus on getting the dog to pay attention to you and doing set exercises. So high drive dogs, we don't really want to cuddle with them as much because their drives are higher, and you're going to get bit, and the dog is going to bite your fingers and your face and whatever you put near it because it's a high drive working dog. It's a Malinois. So understand that, and you'll have a lot easier time training your dog and having a good relationship with the dog. So next question. Maddie Stewart says, Robert, can you explain why a higher dog is harder to train, please? I'd have thought low drive dogs were harder because you have nothing they want. It's a great question. So the reason I say high drive dogs are harder to train is not that they're harder to train, they're harder to, there's so much to do. In other words, you got to do a lot more training with them than you have to do with a lower drive dog. A lower drive dog, you can sit and down and throw a ball and they're super happy. You get a dog like a Malinois or a Dutchie or a German Shepherd, a high drive working dog, you're constantly doing things, and they will learn things, and when they learn something, it's hard to unlearn something. So a lower drive dog, it'll take them a longer time to get something, and when they get it, it's kind of set in there, and you can kind of shape it and move it around and get it. But with high drive dogs, you're teaching them many, many different things, so it requires a faster mind. You've got to outthink this dog all the time, and you've got to be on for this dog the entire time. Where low drive dogs are really easy. I had a low drive dog, Silly. My Shar-Pei was a low drive dog. He was super great. Jimmy is a lower drive dog. He's super easy, much more forgiving of mistakes and stuff like that. High drive dogs, they're on you. I mean, they're riding you the whole time. So they're a lot more fun. I mean, I think you'll have a great time training them, but that's definitely why I say that. Hope that helps. Anyway, El Borracho Flaneur Boskovic, I didn't even practice that, says trainer Larry Crone stated in one of his videos that he could live from only training messed up German Shepherd dogs, that there are so many of them needing proper training. So how would you comment that with regard to your opinion that Shepherds are easier to train in general than most? So that's great. I mean, I think you'd have to ask Larry Crone that. He's got some really good opinions, and I respect him. But the reason I said what I said about that German Shepherds are easy to train, I think they are easy to train. They form habits, and it's like the question I just answered, that higher drive dogs, they require you to be on. So people mess them up because they overpressure the dog, or they don't put enough structure on the dog. And I mean, I could make a living just on training messed up dogs too, and a lot of trainers do make a living just on training messed up dogs because people get these dogs that are super high drive, that are super driven, that are super focused, that are super intense dogs, and they don't give them what they need. They don't give them the structure and the balance that they need. Dogs require balance. Working dogs require somebody who is on them all the time, who's focused on them, has a good balance of reward and consequence, who has a strong hand, but also a loving hand. So you got to really draw that balance with a dog. When they're high drive, they're always on, and they're fun to train. For a trainer like me, or somebody who really loves to train dogs, there's a lot of that out there. But for people who are just kind of messing with them and doing things that are damaging their nerves and their constitutions, it's really sad. So next question goes out to Mariana G. Hello, Robert. My 4-month-old German Shepherd is obedient when we are training alone, but when we are out in public and I give him a command, he will not listen. What can I do to transfer the same level of obedience when we're alone to when we're out in public? Well, that's really simple. So you're adding distractions to the situation. You're going to need to get the dog to train under distractions. And when the dog doesn't listen under distractions, then you've got to come in with a correction. So all the positive training in the world is great to lay a foundation to get the dog to understand what we want, but corrections are absolutely necessary to get a dog who's blowing us off back into the obedience mode. Remember now, it's important to understand that when I say the correction, we don't put a correction on the dog until we're sure the dog knows what we want. So I would take the dog at home, I would do the sit, the down, the stay, or whatever it is. Then I would take them out in public into a lower distraction situation and get the dog to understand what I want. Now, if he starts kind of losing, like kind of getting him drifting, I'll give him a pop on a leash and tell him, no, you're here, stay, or whatever the obedience is. Then I would get him into a higher level of distraction. But it's got to be incremental. You can't just take the dog from your backyard out into, Fifth Avenue in New York City and expect the dog to have the same level of focus. They won't. But you've got to incrementally, so take the dog from your backyard to your front yard, from your front yard down the street, from down the street to the park, from the park to an easy, like a not so busy shopping center, and go up from there. So it's very incremental. It's like riding a bicycle. You start out with somebody holding the back and the training wheels, then you take the training wheels off, then you have somebody watching you on the bicycle, or your child or whatever, on the bicycle, riding and getting better and better and better. But you're not going to go from the training wheels in your backyard to, to riding in the Tour de France. It just doesn't happen. So anyway, incremental distractions and corrections on dogs when they're blowing us off. You got to help them with that. Next question goes out to VOD Dogs. Is it too late for train a 4-month-old Belgian Malinois? No, that's a crazy question, VOD, because 4 months old, the dog is still a puppy. I mean, 4 years old might be a little old if the dog has had no training. It might be a little harder, but even a Belgian Malinois is one of the only breeds you can take them out of a shelter, and you can still title the dog and win a competition with the dog. I mean, not a high-level competition, but you can still, because they're such moldable dogs. They're such amazing animals, but they're not for everybody. I say that all the time. So 4 months old, absolutely not. There's no too young of an age to start training a dog. Remember that. If the dog is 6 weeks old or 7 weeks old, you can start luring and shaping behaviors. The old school trainers never did anything with dogs until they were a year old because they put way too much compulsion on the dog, way too many corrections on the dog, and it's not necessary, right? Corrections come at a much later phase. We want to start luring and shaping and forming behaviors in young puppies. The younger, the better. And if he's 4 months old, I think it's a great age. I think it's a perfect age to start luring and shaping, get in and watch my videos, because you'll see there's a lot of great stuff in there. Mega Bobson 123 says, how to choose a puppy from litter that's best for protection work? Great question. Now, if you're interested in protection work, what I'd really highly recommend that you do is go down and join a working dog or protection dog club, whether it's KNPV, French Ring, Mondio Ring, IPO, anything like that. Join a club, meet the instructors, make sure you get a great vibe from the instructors, watch the dogs in the club, watch how these dogs are working. And once you see that, find a dog that you kind of bond with, that you kind of like, then ask that person where they got their dog from, and ask that breeder and maybe the trainer from your protection dog club to go with you. Because I could pick any dog out of the litter and have a great time training and build a great relationship with it, because I'm very adept in various methods of training. But depending on your level of training, of what you understand and how well you can work with a dog, you're going to need to see how to work with a dog, and that's going to be something that the breeder or the trainer can help you with and help you better understand to pick the best dog for you. So the best dog for me or for somebody else might not be the best dog for you. The best dog for you is going to be the one that you're going to have the best time training and the one you're going to bond with. So talk to the breeder and talk to some trainer who's doing some IPO or protection dog training there. Tony Harris says, I have a Cane Corso and I like him. He's a good boy. He said, when I say sit each day, when I say stay, he keeps doing what I say. We are now playing the fetch game. How do I get him to learn the attack to protect and serve? So Tony, there's a big difference between a dog that's a good boy that learns how to sit and learns how to stay, and a dog that's going to learn how to do the attack and to protect and serve. So what I would suggest you do, if you think you want to do protection dog sports with your dog, take your dog to a working dog club and meet with somebody there. Your dog may not be a good candidate for this, and if he's not, I hope you just give him an amazing life and that he can be an obedient dog and just live in your life. Naturally, a dog will probably protect the house, or probably will, I would say definitely a Cane Corso would deter somebody from breaking in your house if you were in danger or anything like that. But to get the dog to learn protection, first of all, I don't think most people should do protection dog sports because there's so much work, there's so much time involved. It's a complete time waste for most people. It's hours and hours and hours, 3 times or more a week that you're going to be doing this. So think about that, but maybe go visit a protection dog club and take your dog with you and see if you'd be a good candidate for that. The next question goes out to Humvasa, who says, I can't figure out how to ask you on Facebook or YouTube, but, well, you're asking me now. Here's my question, if you have time. I was a single mom of 4 when I got a low-drive female Malinois. We participated in lots of training activities, agility, scent detection over the years. She comes to work. The problem is now I'm remarried and she persists in barking at my husband whenever he comes through a door and she's with me. It appears to be more excitement than aggression, but it's been 4 years now and I have failed miserably in correcting her behavior. And well, 4 years is a long time to not correct her behavior. But if you've done all this stuff with her, all this obedience work and stuff like that, training, activities, agility, scent detection. I mean, scent detection and agility are really not high on obedience side. You've really got a lot of escalated drive in the dog to get them to do these activities. But maybe you should take her to an obedience club and just start doing some obedience with her, or watch my videos and get the dog to understand some basic structure. If she's barking at your husband, then maybe she's excited to play with him, but it's still not a way we want to approach it, especially for a Malinois, because sometimes that excitability level goes into a high level of prey drive, and then they might nip and bite, and if that doesn't get corrected, it could get worse. But do some obedience. If you've got such a lovely dog, I think it's really great that you've put this time into her. And I would really focus on structure, because structure means love to dogs. Structure means love to dogs. Always, always, always that. And my last question for the day is going to go to Gene Fitzpatrick, who says, I have a male 72-pound, 6.5-month-old Eastern European working line German Shepherd who wants to bite me randomly when we are on leash and at other times, not to hurt, grab at my sleeve, the bottom of my coat, my hand, but it hurts. I try to give him a toy when he starts, but he doesn't normally want the toy. He would be a much more amazing dog if I can get him to stop. Any suggestion? Yeah. So if he's 6.5 months old, he's an Eastern line dog. They're very hard dogs, so corrections aren't going to really work as much, but you need to correct the dog. You need to give the dog structure. I would probably, with a dog like that, I'd probably play tug with the dog, teach him a solid bite and a solid out, good obedience, give the dog time. When the dog is too escalated in drive, just put the dog away and put the dog in a crate, give the dog something to chew on, something to occupy their time, and don't engage the dog during that. But you did get a 6.5-month-old Eastern European working line German Shepherd, and this is what you should expect from that dog. That's just the dog you got. You need to redirect the dog back onto what he should be biting and not what he shouldn't be biting, like your hands and your sleeves. So a really hard correction is going to either do one of two things. It's either going to completely crush this dog and you're going to have just a puddle of dog on your hands, or it's going to make the dog rear up in defense mode and he's going to start to bite even harder. So you might consider working with a trainer who works with more working line type dogs. But the basic to this is going to be structure. You're allowed to bite the tug, you're allowed to chase the ball, you're allowed to do this. When I say out, you're out. When I say leave it, you leave it. So there's basic commands like leave it, down. Those are all commands that are going to disable the dog or teach the dog to stop doing what they're doing at that moment. And then the releases of when they get to play with. And again, I think a tug would be a great outlet for this dog's frustration or prey drive, and it'll be a good way to build a relationship with you and your dog. But again, remember, you got a working dog. So this section here is about you got a Malinois. This is what you did. You committed yourself to this. And you should really be prepared for dealing with these behaviors if you've got this dog. So I'm not here to talk you out of the dog you got. I'm here to tell you that the dog you got is an amazing dog and it can be a really fun dog, but watch my videos, watch the training videos I put up, and see how to channel all this energy and all this drive into being a great dog and to living with this dog and giving this dog the best life and enjoying what you got. So hope you like this video. See you in a week for the next edition. In the meantime, if you like this video, hit the subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up. Thanks.